Hi, Sunit. Good afternoon.
Good
It's
afternoon, Gaurav. How are you?
very good, very good. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for asking.
Lovely, lovely. So, Sunit, why don't we start with this episode? And to begin with, it would be great for the audience to know a little about your background and your experience. And, I mean, the topic is for retail and the pressure of retail and sales and revenue and everything that it brings along. So, who better than you who's been in the midst of it all for a few decades now? So, over to you, Sunit.
Okay, so I think what is important is that retail didn't happen to me by design. It was an accident, but it was a good accident to have. I was in between jobs and I was looking at GE to join, and I had ample enough time. I ended up at Weekenders, the one that I used to shop when I was a young kid, and I somehow managed to crack the interview, and that's how my retail journey started. I'm talking about the old Weekender, not the new one, which came in later and then faded away yet again. Well, ever since then, I was given an assignment of managing a store. I had zero experience, and I am very proud to say that my first sale that I made was a neon top to a girl in the middle of summer, where the staff of mine standing behind the customer was saying, "Don't do it," and I was like, "Why? It's a sale, man!" And the next day she came, and rest is history.
Right.
But I think that was the beginning, and then I started realizing that where my interest lies, and I chose operations and business development, so to speak. I have worked with various companies. I worked with Westside, I worked with I worked with Arvind with a large portfolio, Lee, Wrangler, Nautica, Kipling. Then I went to Vietnam, where I was managing Levi's and eyewear and watches, Fossil Group, along with Levi's. Came back and joined Bestseller. Again, large portfolio, Jack and Jones, Vero Moda only in selected. Then after I started on my own, I we created a smoothie chain called Drunken Monkey. Don't go by the name. Samrat insisted on it somehow. Anyhow, the company still exists, and it's a smoothie chain. It has got nothing to do with alcohol. It has got everything to do with health, and a little fast for even today's space. But I think it's apt for now because people have realized that health is something that you need to take care of. And yeah, and then after I joined Forever New, where I took care of not only operations, but I also so far my journey was operations largely, followed by business development, followed by property acquisition, so on and so forth. With Forever New came the projects, and no, I'm not qualified, technically qualified for projects, but having seen fit outs all my life, me and my boss decided that okay, that is something that we can work together with. It was a good experience, getting a store up and into the detail where you actually are involved, not really when the projects team says that come take over the store and take over. So yeah, I've been into various different categories: apparel, watches, glasses, jewelry, and so on and so forth. And let alone menswear, women's wear, Indian wear, Western wear. Yeah, that's why.
Weekender takes me back to maybe the mid 90s, if I'm not wrong. And there was a store in GK1 Market, M Block, right outside the M Block Market. So it just takes me to those days. And I think I would be in school that time. And in my 16 or 17s, late teens. And what a time that was, right? So is that the time that you're talking about? So 30 years from now,
Yeah,
is that?
yeah.
Wow. So 30 years, how has the retail changed, right? When you got into it versus where it is today, how have you seen it kind of transformed over the years in the last 3 decades?
I think it has completely changed, and what it used to be earlier to what it is today, it's totally different. And let alone the factor that the challenge, the sheer channels have increased. That's one part of it. And back then, it was very simple. You have a product, there were not too many brands, and that's the product that you stand by. And the consumer comes and buys, and you fill a manual DSR, report to the people, and so on and so forth. There was no BI, or at least the front end was never given a purview of what's going on in business, which still happens, by the way, in its own means and ways, though it has reduced quite a bit. Plus, the technology played a very, very vital role. The way that the products are constructed, and the kind of an pressure on the demand, the quick buy to the market, all of that was never heard of. It used to be very plain and simple that you have two cycles, spring, summer, and autumn, winter. But now you have four buckets. Within those two, you have two more. So, it has become, I would not say challenging, but it has become more engaging. And if you really understand what's going on, you probably will enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I think I implemented a lot of SOPs, and I was part of the SAP implementation. Yeah, it was a bit of a pain to start with, but eventually it pays off. So one needs to keep an eye on the fact that you're doing something today which is going to give you a far more quicker and effective result eventually later. And retail is going to continue to change, so there's no way that one can say that अब ये बिल्कुल fit formula है, I've got it right and
Sure.
go. So no, it has evolved.
It's interesting. So, I have been a passionate entrepreneur, and I've been doing different things for the last, let's say, 25 odd years, right? Retail is in the family business, so I understand retail pretty much, and also have some very good friends who've created like large brands in the retail business. What I hear from them, and maybe you can validate, is what has happened is it's gotten complex, not just in the seasons, but the way channel distribution is. There is online, there is offline, there is quick commerce, so many other things. Uh, the SKUs, what sells when, there is a lot of algorithm now, maths now behind it. Good thing is there are tools and technologies which can help you
Support, yes.
support that. Not so good thing is that if you don't make use of those tools and technologies, then you're doing a lot with your whim and guts, which may or may not be giving you the kind of results that your competitor would get if they are too glued into that. So, what is your take on that?
No, I think you just said it absolutely right. I mean, if you don't adapt now, if you're not agile, or let's say flexible, let's keep it simple. You
Hmm.
have to be flexible, because the canvas has been shifting right from the online birth. And today, if you ask me, it's not about, earlier it used to be that, okay, this is a Levi's 511. Today, it is a category.
Hmm.
It's a denim. I need a denim, and I can just go online and say denim. So when the consumer is typically looking for the product, so the psychology is that I'm not going to say Levi's 511. Unlikely, unless I'm a hardcore fan, you know. And there's no loyalty in retail today.
Hmm.
From the range perspective, which used to be fairly robust, people used to create it and they used to say, I've created it and this gonna sell. It has become a category. A t-shirt is just a category. You just buy it, use it, and let go of it. The tools that are there today, the hard press that retailers are for quick commerce, or having a quick to the floor delivery, because nobody is very on a very firm ground because of this changing canvas, that okay, unless it is a core product, which is different. Okay, a polo is a polo, a basic white tee is a white tee, so is the white shirt and a black shirt, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to fashion, you have to hold on to certain percentage of buy and keep it open closer to the market. And then comes in another pressure to make sure that the vendors also understand. Fortunately, in today's DNA, the vendors also have understood that if you have to survive, you have to be fast, you have to make sure that you give the brand what they need, and you have to adopt. You cannot not. Technology is something that you have to run along with.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my take on this is, and it's very interesting, right? I was speaking to Santosh, who's also well-known figure in the retail industry.
Yes.
He's a very dear friend of mine, and we were talking about it. That today, like, let's say a fashion category in retail, right? I don't think it's a fashion business anymore. Today, it's a logistics business, it's a technology business, it's a finance business, it's a project or a real estate business, but not just a fashion business. Just because you have fashion sense or you can create good fashion garments or apparel will not mean success. You know, if you don't have all the moving parts put together, moving in cross collaboration, alignment, and if you can't see it all at one go and really figure out where the gaps are and fill those gaps very quickly, the probability of success is very low. And the reason, and I'll just add one more thing and I'll leave it to you. The reason for that also is because, you know, today there is no barrier to entry, right? You can have the category, you can be the category king, right? With e-commerce, quick commerce, technology, some person in B or C town can come up with the category winner and take it all and then scale it with the capital which is available there in the market. So I think there are certain really good elements and not so good elements coming out to be. Or I mean, I just wanted to make that comment over to you.
No, absolutely. I think in today's time, creating a product is not much of a difficulty. Okay,
Hmm.
because if you look around, and the fashion has got so flustered that it's all over the place. Now you can say that, okay, I have this best print. The other guy says I have another one, and there are so many of them. So the complexity is so much. Creating a product is one piece of it. Making sure that it hits the market, making sure that it reaches the right consumer, the infrastructure behind it is is the key. You may have a brilliant product, but if it is not hitting the consumer, and the consumer is not able to get it right, because there's nobody would want to wait for, like, it's okay, I'll wait for 10 days, make it and send it to me. It's like, not right here and right now, instant gratification. That's what today's consumer want. And for that, there is a mammoth task behind, which mostly, when initially you talk about retail to someone who's not from the industry, they're like, oh wow, fashion, glamour, good campaigns, so on and so forth. But there is a lot of hard work. The warehouse, the team that manages online orders, the returns, to ensure that you are managing your finance, keeping your mall and your business partners happy, ensuring that your vendors are paid on time, your deliveries are happening, your product is listed. It's a long list. So it's a complete approach. So long, if the retailer wants to be, or a brand wants to be successful, they have to roll up their sleeves and get into the back end and create.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And now with AI, I'm not sure how much do you think AI will disrupt or help retail? Let's maybe spend some time. I think the audience will love to hear your thoughts on where do you think this whole AI wave in retail is going to be?
I think the impact, and let's say that a positive impact of AI is definitely going to be on product. Okay, the technology, the way that the overall construct of a product simplified as compared to what it used to be, is something that's going to be definitely a help. You cannot see, offline retail has always been existing, and it will exist, because by the end of the day, you would want to have an experience. It's so, for example, if I want to buy, let's say, a white shirt, and I know the brand, I know that, okay, I fit into a medium of selected, it's a white shirt. Nothing can go wrong. I'll go click, cut, I'll get it. But if I want to buy something which I would want to go through an experience, then I'll hit the store.
Yeah.
In fact, if you notice, these stores have enhanced, the retailers have been putting in a lot of effort of giving new looks, because, and that goes to say, if they're putting their top dollar in retail fit outs and making sure that the stores are right, which means that the offline is here to stay. AI is going to help fuel the back end, which is the best part. If the infusion of AI smoothing the back end is going to be a perfect thing, because the kind of time spent right now, honestly, is way too much.
So how many years before I go into a retail store and the robots are selling me a new shirt?
I think not far.
Okay.
You already have these, you know, mirrors where you stand in front of it and you just do click clack, and then you can actually try the entire store on the
Hmm.
way that it looks at you. And it's, I mean, I've seen the birth of it, where it used to be so difficult to kind of, especially women, and talking about the women's wear right now, to make them understand that, okay, you can stand in front of the mirror and the dress is going to come on you, and so on and so forth. They used to hate it. So the technology has helped it to improve. I think it's about 85, 89, 85, 89% right. And
Hmm.
yeah, so that way, not far, not far at all.
Got it. So let's say if I am in my early 20s, mid 20s, and I love the fashion business, I want to be in the retail business. What is the suggestion that you will give to me who is 20 and trying to get their hands dirty in the retail business? What are the three pointers that you want to give me?
I think what I will give, first and foremost, is that focus on brand and product is one part of it. It's it's an easy part of it. Trust me. You have vendors who are totally equipped. You have factories. I was recently talking to one of my friends. Sorry, I'm just going to give an example. He's put up a factory in Asansol, which is 100% t-shirt AI driven factory for t-shirts as of now. So, that is not a problem. But how do you make sure that you get the backhand in place? How do you ensure that, you are doing justice to the mall? Because in today's time, you are not only answerable to your brand or to your promoters. If you don't perform, the mall says, listen, thank you. I would, like to get another tenant. So
Hmm.
the focus, or the effort that needs to go, if you are putting, let's say, 30% on product, or including the brand, okay, and I'm not talking about marketing, it's a different subject altogether. But if you're putting 30%, you have to be very clear that 70% of my time needs to go into the backhand, needs to go into the building up the team so that I'm able to scale. And don't scale up in in a hurry. Take it,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
because what's going to happen? I mean, if I let's say, if I let's say decide to create a brand around polo. Let's take polo. So, and if I take my time, okay, and get my house in order, I'll be far more effective towards the consumer, rather than trying to just rush up. And I'll do Amazon also, I'll do Mintra also, I'll do all the shop in shops, I'll go to Capsons, I'll go to Lifestyle, I'll go to Shoppers. No, because you won't be able to handle it. Each one of them have got their own respective requirements, and you have to comply to them. Are you ready? As from a team perspective, who's going to do it? So you have to define. And I think planning is very, very crucial for retail. You cannot survive without it, because it's going to fall flat. And then going three step back and then again coming to the point, you rather take some time and get it right in one go, or at least attempt, see what's possibly can be a roadblock, and be ready with it. And there is enough studies available, there are enough companies available who can take the load of logistics away from you, and so on and so forth, depending on what kind of scale that you are in, or which stage of development you are in terms of business development. You can choose, but don't do it in a rush. That's
No,
what.
absolutely. Please go on if you have any other pointers.
No, I think that's the only important. What happens is that usually the amount of effort gets put into a product. Let's face it. I mean, the designer comes up with. I mean, I'm talking about the time where the Lee and the Wrangler used to create a mood book, and they used to have it on the desk, and then we used to go for buying, and the franchises used to come. We used to rate the product, and so on and so forth. Today, it's happening in a very different way. So
Yeah.
rather than that, strengthen the back end, because that is the backbone. Once that basic block is there, then build up.
I actually love the framework that you've put it on, and I think you've put it very simply that A, plan first, have a strategy, because without a strategy, you're going to burn yourself out, if you go for it. B, for that strategy that you have, see that you have enough resources. And it could be people, it could be capital, it could be anything, all the resources that you want that strategy to be executed. And then take a hard stop and see at milestones that if you are able to execute it well or not. So I think that's a great framework. And I mean, that is actually what we do at JOP, right? Joy of Performing, the performance software that we have. And we are working with a lot of retailers today. And we've actually seen it being successful with that, rather than always taking three steps back and then one step forward. It allows retailers to manage their business, their people extremely well, and kind of have a bigger probability of success. So I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. So with that, Sunit, let me ask you, with quick commerce coming in, so it was offline and then e-commerce and now quick commerce, like the speed is so much. How does a brand kind of tackle that speed, with changes and ordering and logistics? And do you think is this gonna is here to stay, or do you think it's just a passing phase and people are going to get back to their normal way of doing business at some point of time?
I think it's here to stay because
Hmm.
I mean, let's face it, both you and me are in Delhi, and if we have to squeeze in an hour to pick up something, and if you have to travel from Delhi to Ambience and back, you will think twice.
Yeah.
So some part of it is convenience, some part of it is also a proof that the consumer has, or the connection that the brand has with the consumer. So that's going to stay. Your quick commerce, yeah, is something which is going to probably rough up eventually, and then we will see what is the future there. Because at times you really need it, but when it comes to the fashion and apparel, there's that much you can do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
However, what is important is to have a fine mix. You don't have to be there everywhere. I'm giving example. I was talking to one of those promoters, and he was very, very adamant that I want to be in, 80% of malls. So I asked him why.
Hmm.
You don't have to be there everywhere.
Right.
You have to choose. Do you think that somebody probably is going to open up and search for you in a platform where you don't fit the bill? Not that you are not good enough, but you're not relevant. So choose your battle wisely, because you tend to win. Your intention is to win, and you're going to put in
Hmm.
a lot of work and effort. The
Hmm.
reverse logistics first is to get it to the consumer, then manage the reverse logistic. Then what do you do with the product? Refresh. Then where it goes on to discount. So it's a vicious cycle. You don't go everywhere.
Yeah.
Select where do you want to be. You'll be far more effective. And
Yeah, I
then
think once you've identified who your ideal customer profile is
yes,
and where do they spend the time, what is the product category and how soon they need it versus how soon they want it, I think you can make those choices. But please go on. I see where you're going
I, I
with it.
think I think one of the most unutilized tool, not tool or not asked so often information, is that when you are talking to an online partner, you need to understand who is he catering to, because you going
Hmm.
in is not going to change his target audience.
Right.
If his target audience is something which is worth a metal for your brand, then jump in. But if it
Yeah.
is not, then what's the point?
Yeah.
You rather spend your money on your own website and create something there, rather than going to some place where you are the Englishman in New York. So it's not going to make sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, absolutely. That's an interesting maybe couple of minutes on this. I've always wondered that what is better for a brand to create a fantastic website and really spend the time, effort, money on it and sell it through there, or maybe use the same kind of resources, the bandwidth, and sell it on marketplaces. Of course, it will depend on many factors, your price point, your category of product, and lot. But general basis, if I was starting out a brand, what should I be looking at? My own website or marketplace or a combination of both?
I think we should take it a little step back on this
Mm.
one. And for any business, you should have a healthy mix. Now, you can't survive without online. So I'm just saying online. I'm online will further translate into marketplace, your own website, and so on and so forth. But a fine mix is what is important. It should not be that I'm only online and I have no offline, so to speak, especially in fashion. Okay, or the other way around. For example, US Polo started with shop in shop concept. They did not have their own store. Not that they did not have capital, but that was a strategy. We will first experiment on where all are we going to go. They had their pin codes handy. Their retail partners were giving him a lot of information, which gave them a lot of strength to make sure that they finally open offline. And today the balance has come back. So they have a good online business, they have a layer of shop in shop, and they have layer of their own stores. So something
Mm.
around that, a constructive mix is what is important. Don't put all the eggs in one basket. It's a maybe a quick commerce, for example. Everybody is trying to rush and get into it. I mean, I would say, yeah, do it. I mean, a quick commerce is great. If someone is giving you a ready platform and you are a brand, he's giving you a ready platform, two plus two together. If the, financials work out, great. But as a known, I wouldn't want to do it. I would want to just stay and watch because retail is a deep pocket business. And in today's time, with the kind of competition that we have, not from the new brands coming in or the so on and so forth. We're talking about the homegrown brands. We're talking about a lot of these new, you
And
know,
even if they come in, how many survive, as
yeah.
you rightly said? Yeah. Hmm.
If you're gonna be all over the place, you're gonna probably end up burning yourself
Yeah, yeah.
on your team. That ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, great. This was a great conversation. Thank you, Sunit, for your time. If I may have missed asking you anything which you want to highlight for the audience, please go ahead.
You mentioned that I had put it very simply. Now, this is something that I'm of a very very firm believer. I think retail front end is where the business happens. That's the place. I give you a product, you give me money, we've done a transaction. That is the market. Okay, I don't want to say marketplace. That is the place where business gets conducted.
Sure.
Now, there we have different challenges. Now, here we are focusing on the front end. Back end is equally important,
Hmm.
fuel front end. But if the front end doesn't do the justice, then all in vain, no?
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
now when it comes to front end, you have to keep it simple for them. All right.
Hmm.
You have to talk to them in their language. You have to
Hmm.
make sure that they understand. Usually, typically what happens is that a BI manager creates an incentive program. It's of course coming from a BI, obviously supporting the business. It's coming from the head office, so on and so forth. But it comes in like one big Excel table, okay, with multiple sheets attached. Now the store manager is looking at it and then becomes a Chinese whisper. Half of it he is reading, half of it he's probably not reading, and then he's passing on to the floor, and the complexity becomes even more complex. If you keep it simple, for example, catching hold of a person by saying that, yeah, you are only selling 10 pieces a day. Not that you're telling him that I want you to increase the business by 10%. You say, you know what I want you to do? I want you to try sell one extra piece. Or you talk to a store manager, which is a high traffic store manager versus a low footfall store manager. You cannot have a same conversation with both of them. You have to very, very simple, logically put in front of him that listen, all you need to worry about is your number of bills. Rest all the KPIs will follow because they're it's mathematics. But your focus
Hmm.
is number of bills. If you default on that, you're gonna not hit the mark. It's
Sure.
simple for him. He understands. He's also talking to his people by saying, guys, we make 20 bills. Our target is to make 22, not
Hmm.
from 20 to 30. He won't buy it. We make a mistake by saying that the front end people are, you can just tell them any direction they start walking. No, in today's time, they ask questions. If they're not convinced, maybe they'll not say it in your face, so to speak, which I think they do these days, but they're going to decide, what, drop it, not
Yeah.
wasting time.
Yeah. Yeah, very well. And I think you're right. I mean, two, three basic points that I take from this conversation. Know your KPIs well. Front end will have very separate KPIs versus back end will have very separate KPIs. Understand what are the leading versus lagging KPIs, because lagging KPIs people get obsessed about. But what are those leading KPIs which are going to lead to the lagging KPIs are more important. That's more in your control. And how do you manage that, right? How do you keep it in front of your audience very simply so that it doesn't look like jargon to them, but it is something that they can absorb and execute on. So very well put. These are simple rule of business, but so often ignored and so often, not taken care of, and thus the business kind of fails. But thank you, Sunit. Thanks for your time.